Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 35th episode of ICC Biz Live, our session, knowledge session with C-suite people. And today we have Dr. Raj Ray, CEO and CTO of companies in USA, and he has groomed 8 startups. He's a multi-talented person in hardware as well as software. I mean, the more said about him, it is less. That is my opinion. But uh, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Sir, request to give a brief introduction of yourself and your organization to our audience.
First of all, very good evening or afternoon. Maybe I can say afternoon. It's just 5 p.m. or in some places in India it's getting dark now. So good evening and good afternoon to everyone attending this show today. Sincere thanks to Dr. Rajarshi Ghosh for his kind introduction, and sincere thanks to ICC also for giving me this opportunity just to meet you all and to talk to you and talk about what I've been doing in the domain and my entrepreneurial initiatives and all. Thank you so much for that. Introducing myself. That's not a very easy thing to do, but I will try. My name is Dr. Raj Ray. I have been in the high-tech industry for around 28, 29 years, most of which that part I've been in the United States. I've been living here since late 90s, so around 27 years in the US. Throughout my career, which is I would say multidimensional and a little unusual. I'll explain why it's unusual. The entire career of 28 years, it has got two parallel tracks. One is hardcore semiconductor physics, chip design, ASIC microprocessor, the pure play VLSI IC design. And the second track, um, many of you might find it a bit unusual, that's why I say it. The second one is enterprise software using different technology nodes, different technology fields like mathematical optimization, data design, ranging from artificial intelligence all the way to what we call as big data analytics, from blockchain all the way to full stack mobile and web applications, from statistical modeling, NLP, generative AI, all the way to system level softwares like compiler, like assembly, like operating systems, things like that. So yes, so on one side, pure play hardware, on other side, like different domains of software. So that looking at myself, I call myself a continuous learner in the domain of digital innovation and transformation. And in a nutshell, I feel that I bring three values on the table: very hardcore hands-on research development and innovation, even after 28 years. Yes, I develop software and hardware on a day-to-day basis. Number two, experience of building teams just to create products, solutions, end to end, like putting different pieces of innovation together just to create products, software and hardware growth. And number three is strategic business, growing the business in a very aggressive manner, winning new clients, retaining clients, exploring new domains. You can call it greenfield projects and all. I have been a serial entrepreneur since 2012. I built 8 companies, 8 ventures, had 6 mergers and acquisitions, and I have advised more than 20 ventures. Throughout my life, throughout my career, I've worked for tech giants like Intel Corporation, Motorola, Freescale, Synopsys, Sun Microsystems, Broadcom, and Capgemini. I have held senior roles. I was CTO for Capgemini for a long time. I built a center of excellence for hardware and software both. And then I became an entrepreneur and I've built a few ventures. At the end of the day, I look at myself as someone who is very passionate to learn new technologies every day and who would like to utilize the skills, technology, knowledge, and everything to do something meaningful, sustainable, and very critical for the world, for mankind, for our civilization. What we can we can call this as sustainable long-term solutions to make this world a better place. Currently, I'm leading 2 ventures. One is called Adyakshar Laboratories, A Labs. The tagline is Innovations Begin Here. It's a solution house. We provide custom enterprise solutions in 6 different domains. And number one, AI, ML, generative AI family. Then full stack, mobile and web applications, DevOps and security. Number three, cloud computing, big data analytics, and enterprise architectures. Number four, blockchain, crypto, quantum computing, and Web3. Number five, IoT, embedded systems, and robotics. And number six, pure play VLSI design, EDA solutions, and smart chips. That is a solution venture. And they all, that's based out of the US. It's based out of Texas, California, and India also. And we have some operations in Toronto. The other one is a product venture. It's called System on Silicon Corporation, SOS Corp. We design, deliver, and market artificial intelligence, IoT, and embedded system powered, so hardware and software is a blended solutions for digital health and climate smart and precision agriculture. On the digital health side, we have got a few products in the market. One is called Tanaya, Tanaya. It's a Sanskrit word for daughter. It's a personalized health analytics product for gynecology. Yes, for women's problems, we are addressing six different issues of gynecology, menstruation, pregnancy, contraception, infertility, gynecological chronic diseases like ovarian cancer, PCOD, and all, and STI, sexually transmitted infection. The tagline of this product is, you all might like that, caring for daughters. Uh, Second product is Men Go. That is actually a masculine counterpart of Tanaya. That means men's sexual and reproductive problems. With, in my opinion, as far as I know, this is the first product of this type in the world. It's another personalized analytics app, and the tagline is act. It is tagline, act with confidence. Act with confidence is the tagline for Mengo. Again, it also addresses a few different critical problems of andrology. And the last but not the least product today is called Right Food, RITEFOOD. The tagline is track your wellness. It's a personalized diet, nutrition, and wellness applications that can give you guidance about what you should eat, why you should eat, when you should eat, how much you should eat, how to make your food, and how where those food ingredients are coming from. So depending on the ethnicity, age, weight, and other such health parameters, it actually continuously gives you guidance about your food options. The tagline is track your wellness. I told you. We are also working on a few other healthcare products for mental health, for other kind of health issues like say any kind of chronic care management, remote patient management, and things like that. They are going to come. So overall, we are building a very iconic, game-changing healthcare platform. The name is One Health, and what I believe is that we have one word, we have one society. Why not one health? We should have that. And on the other side, on the agriculture side, we are building arguably India's and probably even for the world the most comprehensive agtech platform for climate smart and precision agriculture. It's called AgroTech. We are here addressing three distinct problems of agriculture. And what are those? Those are sustainability, connectivity, and profitability. Just to make the agricultural domain more profitable, more productive, more well connected, and definitely more sustainable. I'm currently working with a few state governments of the country of India, and we are also working with a few other countries in the world. Um, my objective is before I leave this world, I would like to see at least many of our farmers are living with a better lifestyle. And I'm working hard. Our entire team is working hard, System of Silicon. And I strongly believe with your support, with your cooperation, we can make it happen. So that's just a brief introduction about Raj. Apart from my work, I'm a professional musician. I'm an independent director on the stage, and I also make indie movies. And above everything, I truly enjoy working with people, learning from people, and trying to pay it forward to the society. Thank you so much.
Now, logical question which follows: it what makes what is there in so unique in people like you? I mean, It's a sort of similar thing which we learned in management, leaders versus followers. What made you venture out on your own, and how did you achieve so much success?
Thank you so much. I mean, the question is what actually triggered this journey, right? Triggered this journey of being an entrepreneur, right? So I don't know about the success, and I'm still trying to do something better, trying to improve the situation. The reason I became an entrepreneur, I have to go back. Why do we solve problems, and how can we find out a problem that's uh, something you need to work on? I have my own method. I look at the problem using three metrics. Is it a big enough problem? That is, does it impact hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people? So it's a big enough problem. Okay. Is it deep enough? That means uh, can it be just solved over the weekend or maybe a couple of weekends? Or does one need to spend hours, weeks, months, maybe years just to solve the problem? Does it involve hardcore technological research, scientific innovations, and also that is deep enough? And the last but not the least, is it old enough? That means, is it a mature problem? Is it really a problem? Um, uh, it has been going on for a while already. If it is, that means it is genuinely a problem. It's not just a weekend bubble. So deep enough, big enough, old enough, then you can solve that. And let's come to the solution. What is a solution? In my humble opinion, just to address your question, Dr. Ghosh, in my humble opinion, a solution can be only one of four types. Number one, is it bridging a gap in some existing solutions? Number one. Number two, is it actually fixing bugs in an existing situation? Like there are maybe holes, problems, shortcomings, flaws, errors, and all. There might be a solution, but it has got lots of holes. There's a problem, shortcomings. So an entrepreneur can come up with a solution, with a product, something just to fill up those bugs, fill up those gaps, and all. That's number two. Number three, enhancing a current product. Example being like bicycle. Is it a good product? Yeah, it does what it is supposed to, but a motorcycle is just an upgrade, just an upgrade product, right? Enhanced, better, right? Motorcycle is better. And the number four is doing something really new that did not exist. Example, say solar panel. People did not have that. It's a brand new innovation. So these are only the four areas. And I always believe, right from my student life, I'm not going to be around for the next 200 years. By the time I leave this world, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa actually advised, and that advice was meant for Mr. Narendranath Datta, Swami Vivekananda. Since you have come to this world, leave a mark. I'm really working hard, very hard. Just leave a mark. I don't know whether I'll be able to leave a mark, but I'm still trying to find out the job, and I'm just trying to create the mark so that by the time I leave this world, as I mentioned during my introduction, I'd like to solve a couple of problems, and I picked up two major problems: healthcare and agriculture. So I'm very passionate, I'm very driven, I'm very motivated to create something that will solve some problems, and those changes, those solutions will be sustainable. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do that. So, Dr. Ghosh. So,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, coming to the core topic of the day, Indian hardware. And before we take a deep dive into computer system concepts and architecture, uh, can you give a brief idea of how hardware, what is hardware, how does software mix with software, hardware mix with software to create a computer system? So simple like a school education covering basic. Obviously, there will be a lot of professionals in the audience, but for the benefit of those who are not that converse into computer systems, give a brief idea of the systems.
I will actually, that's a great question. I will explain using metaphors and examples, right? If you look at human body, it starts from like what you can see from outside, like the head, different organs, the head, eyes, ears, hands, limbs, noses, and like hair and things like that, right? And then that's actually the hardware. And what is the software? how someone is using those hands and legs and components, how someone is reacting to something, how is someone making decisions. So the entire intelligence in terms of living, moving, doing things, acting, proceeding, looking, using all sense organs and all just to collect information and to process that information and to make some decisions, right? So looking back to the computer system, very similar, right? There also, if you look at from outside, what do you see? It's a laptop, okay, or it's a desktop, right? And then some software is running, which is the intelligence, that's the software. Now, let me explain. Let me break it down further. Um, let me start bottom up, okay, instead of top down. So the lowest component, electronic component of hardware, it comes from things like a standard transistor. It's made of silicon, right? And the transistor is kind of the building block, I can say. A building block, and then a couple of transistors together can form a logic gate. What is logic gate? People who are somewhat familiar with the whole concept of a digital world or analog world or like the world of computers. Um, Computer only understands zero, one. These are the two things. So it's a combination of zero, zero, one, one, zero, one, zero, things like that, right? So from the like atomic component, the lowest level component, transistor, multiple transistor form gates, like say AND gate, OR gate, NOT gate, or even sequential gate, like gates that can hold some data, memories, and all that. So then from transistor you get gates, next level. From that gate you get like a small subsystem, like for example an adder. You want to add 2 plus 3, so you need to have a logic circuit that consists of some gates. Those gates consist of transistor gates, and then some module or some logical unit. That way you keep building. Then you get like bigger module, bigger chunks. Say for example arithmetic and logic unit, ALU. What does ALU do? It can does all the arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, rotation, shifting, and things of that nature. And the logic unit is what? Logic unit, like logical operation, right? Like shift, rotate, swap, things of that nature. If you put them together, you get a unit, which is, think of it like easiest example is like a calculator. But that's not all. You need more. Like you need a capacity, you need a system that can hold memory. That means your memory. So your alien is over, your memory is done. Then comes the instruction. Suppose from the software side, you will say, hey, I have got three numbers. You add that. A plus B plus C. So that's an instruction. That instruction needs to be translated in some language that's understood by a computer, right? So converting that instruction to some language that is understandable, there are many different ways. Like from certain languages, that can only be understood by computers. Well, actually, computer understands only zero one, but you cannot really write on zero one. That would be too low level, right? That's why even human beings, we have created languages, right? Suppose if I'm hungry, I just go show using like, hey, you know what? I have the like some hormones triggering me, or there's some chemical changes. No, you just say I am hungry, or in any language. The same way in computers, you just don't go down to the zero one level. You describe in high level abstraction that can be understandable, that's understood by people, and that can be transferred. So I'm just explaining from both sides, hardware and software. So that way, going up and up, you create a motherboard that has got a lot of different sub-circuits like adder, subtractor, ALU, control unit, memory, maybe like buses. Like what is a bus? Like data transfer. If I talk to someone, I may yell, I may shout, that information will go to someone. I pick up a phone, landline phone, or a mobile phone. It goes to certain channel, right? It basically reaches the destination of the person I'm talking to. Or if I'm sending some kind of mail or something, it goes to a page. So there are different ways to communicate, communication channels. In the computer world, we call them buses, different types of bus, data bus, control bus, and there are different ways to transfer. If you look at your computer, you will see a lot of some sockets on the right hand side, left hand side, and back side. One is meant for power, maybe USB ports, maybe some other kind of ports, maybe like you connect headphone to one of them. I mean, depending on the computer type, there are quite a few such slots and maybe additional memories and all. Those are different ports. And in human body, what are the ports? You hear through your ears, you look at something and you see with your eyes, you speak with your mouth. Some of them are input only, Some of them are output only, some of them are IO, right? Okay, so for example, look, eyes. Like basically you are only collecting information, like you are, so it's input, but there can be output also, like mouth. You can eat, you can throw something away, you can talk. So input IO devices, and also input. So that will actually lead me to the concept of peripheral devices. A computer has quite a few peripheral devices like mouse. There can be printer, there can be fax machine, there can be modems, there can be cameras and things of that nature. That actually makes the entire computer system, right? Now, digging down deeper, in order to make things happen, so people build. There was a time people used to build with hand. Like a system used to have maybe, I mean, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500, 1,000 transistors. But if the number goes up, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion. So it's definitely impossible for human beings to do those things manually, right? That's when the automation process, the entire process of microfabrication, and the entire domain of VLSI IC design, starting from the concept of architecture all the way to the silicon. I mean, that has come up. We can elaborate further, but I think that actually gives you a very brief definition of what it means, the hardware, and how it's related to the software, different applications, and all. Dr. Ghosh, I think that's I'll just elaborate later. So on that.
Yeah, very good. That that is that is an elaborate answer, no doubt. Now, coming to a bit more micro level, CPU, memory, registers, instructions to connect with each other. How do we build and connect these step by step?
Okay, sure. So fundamentally, to address this question, it's basically how the entire system is built, right? So the entire process is called VLSI IC design, which is basically concept to silicon. Okay, and that's exactly what we are missing. At least we are not having that setup in our country the way I wish we should have. Right? So from the idea, from the concept, it starts with the architecture, like what kind of pipeline design, what kind of multi-core modules, and any computer system can be like any computer, or any, you can say like a CPU or something, central processing unit. It can be one of four types, right? SISB, single instruction, single data. So only one set of data, one instruction. It's like 2 plus 3, 5. It only does addition. And with one set of data, it's not like I go, hey, you know what? Can you do 10 additions? 2 plus 3, 4 plus 5, 5 plus 6, 6 plus 1. No, it cannot. SISD. Then comes single instruction, multiple data, SIMD. So it can do 100 additions together. Then comes multiple instructions, single data. So A and B, just do at the same time. A plus B, A into B, A multiplied by B, A minus B, A divided by B, all sorts of things on the same set. And then final culmination of what is actually parallel computing. Like, your computer can at the same time, you can type emails, you can listen to music, you can look at the website for news, all of them together, right? Why? Because it's an MIMD machine, multiple instructions, multiple data. So these are different types. So based on what you need, you create the architecture. So how do you do that? You create the architecture first conceptually, like, hey, there will be this memory block, and the processing you need. It will be a 16-bit or 32-bit or 64-bit. Will you have just one CPU core or many cores? Then I'm sure you all are hearing about like dual core, multi-core machine. That means not just one central processing unit. Multiple copies of that will exist on the same chip, and the chip size is just as big as, like, maybe the nail of a mature guy. But on the nail size, millions, hundreds of millions, billions of transistors will sit. Just imagine. It's like an amazing, unthinkable, right? Yes. And I will explain how it has been possible to build something that human beings cannot even think of, right? So you first describe that concept, the architecture, in different ways, pipeline, or depending on the architecture type can be VLIW, very large instruction word, or maybe superscalar. In a different session, I may have to explain them in detail. I can do that, but if I get into that, it will take a long time. So, but you describe your architecture in a special language called hardware description language. And what are the standard hardware description languages? Like Verilog, VHDL. Those are usually popular choices. You describe the architecture in that it's not just one monolithic code, there can be different modules. For example, your design may have adder, subtractor, maybe shifter, maybe memory module, maybe some special things to do, like say, like how to how to get the address instruction, how to do something, how to execute something, execution module, maybe a low power unit, depending on the, or say like data bus, data transfer. So you describe everything logically using the hardware description language called Verilog. So you write different modules. The next phase is, and this phase is called front end design, right? This is called RTL, register transfer logic. So once you finish that, you have to first check whether they are functionally correct, like the way you check your C program, C++ programs in compilers, right? And then you have to simulate. Simulation means testing. Suppose I write a 4-input adder. What is the meaning of that? 4 input. So 5678, 5678, you add to 1234, 1234 plus 567. Now here, it's more complicated. A 4 there can be 10 such symbols, right? 0 to 9. But in the computer world, only 2, 0 or 1. So for example, 1100, 1011. I want to add this 4. Can this design successfully add all sorts of combinations? So this is called simulation. You feed certain input vectors to your design and you keep checking. Hey, the next one is 1110. The next one is 1001. The next one is 1000. The next one is 1111. Things like that, right? All sorts of combinations. You know, how many combinations can be there? With 0 and 1, with 4 places, there can be 2 to the power 4, right? 16. For each 16, there can be other, that side, like the A and B. So that way you verify the syntactical part, you simulate for the functional part. There are a few other types of verification called formal verification, just to prove if it is formally correct. Then there is switch level verification. If it is analog side, it's a completely different game. This is called digital verification, digital logic. For the analog side, it will be spice simulation. That means in the analog side, you describe that there is not really binary. You get the real voltage. Like in this world, in the digital side, 0 and 1. What is 0? 0 means 0 volt. 1 maybe 1 volt or maybe zero point 0.9 or something. It's too distant. But what happens to all those voltage levels between 0 and 1, 0 volt and 1 volt? No. In the analog world, they are important. So 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, all these things. In the digital world, you create a threshold. Anything less than 0 0.5, all 0. Anything above 0 0.5, all 1. So just to make things better, threshold, right? But the analog world, you get the full package, the whole 9 years. So there, the simulation part is done using something called SPICE simulation that was created in the University of California, Berkeley, right? So that's very rigorous, very extensive, very detailed. Okay, it takes days. Fundamentally, they solve differential equations of the transistor's voltage, current, power at every point. That's a very complicated one. I would love to have another session on that. So using those two things, you actually verify your entire design, whether it's RTL or like custom, like actual circuit design using swipes, right? And then you reach a point when you know your design from the front end side, from the functional side, from the syntactical side, from the logical side, analog or digital, they're good. Then comes the next stage. This is called, on the digital side, it's called logic synthesis. That means you convert your design, RTL design, behavioral design, to actually netlist. What is netlist? Where you get actually logic gates and connectivity and nets, real thing. Like, for example, I'll put it in a very simple way. Input is A, output is A bar. That means it's an inverter gate, but actually and where coming from A input terminal going to an inverter gate, and you are getting A bar. So things like that has to be converted properly. But people can ask, hey, it's just easy. Just put it in some gate design. No, it's not that. There are other complexities, right? That is, it has to be space optimal, it has to be power optimal, it has to be timing optimal. That's when the game starts. And that's why you get a tool called logic synthesis created by some media companies. I'll get to that later, like why software is playing such a huge role in hardware design. I come from a hardware plus software background, so I have seen both sides, how to use those tools and how to create those tools. So those are extremely complicated things, right? And very exciting also. So using those tools, you go to the actual netlist level, the design level. Is it done? No. You still do not have the silicon. So that you need to take all the way to the silicon side, like actual chip. How to do that? What are the phases? It's called floor planning, just to create the space on the die, on silicon die, right? And then after floor planning, placement of all those I mentioned, right? Logic gates, like millions, billions of logic gates. So imagine the complication, imagine the degree of difficulty. On a die of this size, you are placing billions of transistors in the right location. No human being can do that, right? Humanly not possible. That's why you have got very smart, very automated, very intelligent, very efficient tools called EDA, electronic design automation, also known as CAD for VLSI, right? In my life, I have designed a few of those. They are very complicated. So once you place them, again in a timing optimal, power optimal, space optimal manner, then placement is done. What's the next? You have to place and connect and properly manage clocks. What is clock? Any digital circuit designer will understand. Any design is correct, wrong, whatever it is, it performs with respect to clock. Our whole life is based on clock. Like our meeting started at 5. Now it's nearly 5:30. How do you know that? There's a clock that's ticking, tick, tick, tick. The same in the chip, right? Based on the clock speed, you actually you actually define the speed of a computer. Say, hey, you know what? It's a 1.5 gigahertz computer. What does that mean? The clock speed is 1.5 gigahertz, or the clock speed is 2 gigahertz. And based on that, you actually can measure the throughput, like how many operations can be executed in one clock cycle. Clock cycle means like one, like that. You have seen, like, in ECG monitoring systems, right? Like these. So that's actually one cycle of clock, right? So after placement, after designing the clock, comes a very complicated part. It's called routing, like how to connect. Think of it like that. In a newly created place, in a part of the village or city or something, you are putting some houses. You have built houses. Fine. That's called placement. Finding the entire location was floor planning, like where, I mean, am I going to build a house here, or a hospital here, or a school here, or a railway track, or a movie theater, or restaurants, market, things like that. That's called floor planning. And how you place them actually, that's placement. Then your job is to connect them properly. So how to build proper roads, so that it's not like that there are plenty of roads between two houses and no road between two houses. No, it should be optimized. It should be optimal. All of them should get not exactly equal, but balanced opportunities to reach the highway. Like, from one house to the hospital, it takes 5 hours. From another house to the hospital, it takes 5 minutes. It's no good, right? So that optimization, I'm just giving a simple example. Again, timing optimal, power optimal, space optimal, it's called routing, connecting dots, connecting logic gates, connecting circuits in this case. So your logic, after logic synthesis, you get the actual logical connectivity. Then you do floor planning, placement, clock tree synthesis, detail and global routing. Then you get what we call layout. But is this layout good in terms of timing, or is it too slow? Does it burn a lot of power? If I run my computer or mobile phone, will it catch fire within 2 hours? That's no good. Will it have a lot of noise? Like, I'm trying to talk to someone, that person is not being able to hear anything what I'm saying. Uh, if I say, how are you? He'll say, cow are you? He'll say, oh, you are calling me cow? No, I'm not. I'm saying, how are you? But he's not getting that because of the noise. So it should be noise optimized. It should be power optimized so that it doesn't catch fire. It should be timing optimized. It's not like I'm calling someone and that person is getting my message after 1 hour. So nothing will work, right? So this is called timing optimization, power optimization, noise optimization, and finally layout verification. Earlier I mentioned logic verification, functional verification. Now I'm talking about actual layout, actual silicon layout verification. Once that is also done, it goes to the fab. And there we create like something called reticle, which is like a stencil, right? It determines, it basically really truly guides the machine, like where the silicon fabrication will be done, etching will be done, exposure to the ultraviolet ray. Is a whole new world, whole world of microelectronic fabrication. Once that is done, you will get a piece of silicon on your palm. In my life, there have been quite a few occasions. I designed 8 or 9 different families of Intel Pentium family. So I started with the functional thing, idea. I have gone through the phase to get the implementation. So concept to silicon, trust me, I have got this like silicon produced by myself and a few others based on our design, our expertise, nights and nights of work, weekdays, weekends, working till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. throughout the night. I got the silicon on my palm. It's a tremendous amount of pressure. It's like getting a new baby, right? So, in a nutshell, that is the entire story of building a chip. And after that, you put many such chips, you create a system, you create a motherboard PCB, and you put multiple PCBs just to create a block, and you put multiple such blocks and units just to create an entire system, like a computer system or a router, a video con washing machine, or any other washing machine, your microwave oven, or any electronic device that you can think of, mobile phone, to large motors and also different pieces of a silicon. So that's the story of building hardware systems right from scratch. So, Dr. Ghosh, does that address, I believe?
That is something in A to Z in such talk shows. I mean, that is something A to Z. That's a very elaborate and well explained. I also learned about hardware distribution language and the role of software in the connectivity. You explained a lot. Thanks a lot. Now let's come to to the application side. We know that in large scale companies, application is going on at very big scale. But coming to Indian MSMEs, and my personal research, which has got global acknowledgement, is that Indian MSMEs 90% do not go for software hardware adoption. Only 10% do so. And even those 10% are scared. What if I do adopt new system this year? Again, next year I have to spend money. What is the ROI? So uh, what are your thoughts on that? And can you give examples of enhancing IT infrastructure in Indian MSMEs? Something which you have done or someone else?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I have actually personally done. Are you referring to IT infrastructure? How to make that better? IT infrastructure. That's what I was saying, right? Your
I think
question
so.
is how to IT infrastructure, right? So
Yes,
now
first is that
that's
they
a
have
very very
an
loaded.
attitudinal block. That is what I observed. Plus, how to overcome the block and enhance IT infrastructure in Indian MSMEs.
That's good. So that's a very loaded question, and it's a very important question as well. In IT infrastructure, if I look at IT infrastructure, if I just break it down into different components, one side is basically the hardware side of things, another side is the software side of things, and another side is basically the system level integration. If I just put these three components of the IT infrastructure, the system level infrastructure, meaning the servers, the computational power, the storage, and the entire environment. Like these days, because the cloud computing has become so prevalent, the load of maintaining servers, managing a lot of in-house on-premise servers, I mean that load is not really as it used to be many years back, right? So thankfully, the cloud computing is growing at a rather fast pace, and I believe the internet speed in India, I mean, I think the situation has improved leaps and bounds, right, over the years, which is good, which is great. On the server side, on the hardware side, I think many companies actually do not really get the right policy, right setup, right guidance just to have the proper set of servers to make the entire computation, entire operation of the company very smooth and very, very efficient. I think one of the reasons is that most people involved in Indian IT, they are predominantly software focused people, right? So they do not have the experience of the expertise just to utilize the existing hardware or even to create something, or get the right set of hardware that will be appropriate for their software products, software solutions for clients, right? That, in my opinion, one of the reasons. So I believe what they should do, they should first actually work on the architecture side, the entire software architecture. They should also consider what kind of computational roadblocks, bottlenecks are there, and how those can be overcome by smartly selecting hardwares. And it can be a lot of things. Like, for example, am I getting the right router? Am I getting the correct gateway? Do I have the correct processing element? Like, what kind of hardware do I have? Do I prefer on-premise just because I'm so finicky about the security part? I don't believe in cloud. Well, that will have its own pros and cons. And on the software side, Are we selecting the right kind of software just to make the entire pipeline end to end? Three things: speedy, smart, and safe, secure. Speedy, smart, safe, and secure. So three S's. You should look for speed, smartness, and safety security for the entire solution chain. Some components can be hardware, some components can be software. But if you use this ERSIG as your guiding force, I believe the situation will be a bit more manageable, a bit more productive, and definitely cost effective. That would be my suggestion, and that's what I have done. I have utilized that, and I have had success in. I've been advising companies and all, so they have been successful following that advice instead of randomly going after that. I always say, in terms of the strategy and policy, look at it from a 10,000 point of view, then break it down further. If I am in a helicopter, if I know this is Sundarban, I know the shape, I know the area, what's the span, then I go down. Well, let me land in a place which is based on mangrove forest areas, right? Then I go deeper. Is it an area infested by like crocodiles and all? Depending on that, I create my strategies. But if I do not have any idea from the top level standpoint, the end-to-end supply chain, it will be very difficult for me to manage things. So I think these are the aspects Indian IT infrastructure should truly focus on to improve their efficiency, productivity, and of course, return on investment. Hello?
Bilal, how far have we progressed in Make in India? Have we building a domestic component system like PCB, sensors, display models? Are we building semiconductors?
That's a fantastic question. I love this question. I have been very vocal about it, and not just for like in a couple of years, for last 20 years. I've been very vocal about it. India has got a lot of tech companies like TCS, like Wipro, like you name it, IT giants. And each company, like I believe, employs like 300,000, 400,000. So on an average, if I pick up, say, like five top Indian IT companies, and on an average, they have, say, 300,000 people. So that means 1.5 crore smart guys. If I take purely technical people, at least 1 crore techies, all right? So, how many of them are now working on any kind of complex or moderately complex or very advanced hardware? Very few, very little. Why? Because of the mindset. These IT companies, which, as I mentioned, I have been very vocal about it for almost 20 years, they have never thought of doing something in that direction where the return on investment will be tremendous. But it needs the involvement of highly techy individuals. Instead of just giving solutions as a solution provider to mostly foreign clients, if they would have thought, hey, you know what, like Japan, like China, like Korea, like Singapore, like Taiwan, and many other places, say building a fab may be expensive, I understand, but how about fabless IP design, fabless hardware? How many of these companies have invested? Almost nobody. And that's very sad. It's very unfortunate. They have not. If they would have by now, we would have had at least like 8 or 10 ventures, like 8 or 10 startups, or like with the spin-off and all companies building fabless IPs, maybe using ARM IP. That's fine. Fabless chips or even IPs. So we do not have leading chip design companies. We do not have leading EDA software companies. Why? We have talents. Absolutely, we have the greatest talent pool in the world. Are those guys doing that? Yes, they are doing that mostly in the US for companies like Synopsys, Cadence, Mentor Graphics, now Siemens, Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, Xilinx, Altera, Texas Instruments, Motorola, Freescale, you name it. A lot of the Samsung and many other chip companies in Korea, some in China also, some in the European side, like say ST Microelectronics, right? Or say Bosch. I'm talking about like one level higher, system level companies. The previous list is a pure play semiconductor chip design companies like Qualcomm, Broadcom, and all. And then comes the system like Cisco, like Bosch, like Siemens. Even we are not in that domain either. Why? Just because of this service driven mentality, only purely giving service to other people's software. Some software created maybe hundreds of years back, not exactly hundreds, maybe 50 years back. We will rather continue enhancing that instead of creating something on our own. I'm truly I'm truly with a lot of energy in my mind. I'm eagerly looking for that day when Indian products, both software and hardware, will be used from Chile to China, from Australia to Argentina. I really would like to see that day happening. And I am personally not just sitting idle. I'm working in that direction. I am currently leading A Labs and SOS Corporation, I told you, right? Recently, we did two spin off. One is called Quantum Labs. That actually is a quantum computing company. We are creating new IPs and Buddhi Chips. Buddhi Chips actually creates new EDA tools, new CAD flows. By the way, CAD flow is basically a little different from EDA tools. In EDA software, you create point tools. In CAD, you create methodologies and flows for building chips. So the name of that company is Buddhi Chips. Okay. We are working on our new products, our own flows, CAD flows, yes, powered by AI, our own EDA tools, cloud-based, pay-as-you-go, AI, ML, big data powered EDA tools, primarily for the physical design side. It's called Badal. Big data analytics for designing adaptive layouts. Badal means clouds, is a cloud-based pay-as-you-go software. We are creating our own IPs. Yes, probably the first Indian company that is creating true sense EDA tools, CAD flows, and also smart AI-powered IPs, like chips. So yes, but my dream is I would like to see more such companies building those products. And something that I've been very unhappy about, that India does not have those semiconductor things. India does not have EDA tools. India does not have those kind of software from, as I said, Australia to Argentina, from Chile to China. I want to see that day. And I am also doing my part. We are all working hard to make that happen out of India.
So,
Okay.
what lessons can we learn from Taiwan and South Korea in building semiconductor leadership? And of course, uh, we are a economic superpower. We are among the top five. We don't have a telecom building company. We don't have a semiconductor building company. So, I mean, and we have, as you said, we have been focusing on providing services on somebody else's platform. So,
Yeah.
are we really changing ourselves, or I mean, what are
Actually,
what
there's a famous
what
saying.
lessons have we learned, and what are we doing to implement the
Yeah.
lessons learned?
Yeah, in terms of we, the government is actually putting some focus on that. There's impetus on that. I can see I am actually well connected to Niti Aayog and Startup India. I'm very excited to let you know that quite a few things are happening. Some initiatives from the government side, but things haven't happened since 1947. Throughout 60s, 70s, 80s, and major part of 90s, India, we unfortunately did not focus on creating our own IPs. We always had the best talent pool. As I mentioned, I've been living in the US for a long time. I've worked with people from many different countries. I can confidently say India has got by far the best talent from the northern part to southern part, from like the deep northeast to the west, everywhere throughout the country. But have we utilized them to the fullest extent? No. Why we haven't? Because of the problem in our policy. We really need to shift the mindset from purely service driven mindset to IP oriented mindset. And I'm very hopeful. I'm an optimist. I'm eternal optimist, and I still believe it will happen. Well, there have been delays due to a lot of other political disturbances. We have great neighbors, so you understand. That's why the government had to make the country safe and secure, and we have to protect its citizens, right? So that's why our country, because of our tremendous, outstanding neighbors who made sure the government will always be busy in protecting our country, government couldn't find time to focus on that. But since, why I'm very hopeful, very positive that we can compete against, may not be overnight, with Korea and Taiwan, because there is no scarcity of talents in our country. Okay. Many people will say recently, going to the US and all, it's become very difficult due to several, policies, visas and all, right, in the US. I would rather talk to that. I would rather, I have my 2 cents to all of them. Take it in a positive way. Utilize that just to build something in true Make in India spirit. We can do it here, and especially today, fabless semiconductors is possible. Can we build some fabs like Taiwan? It might take some time, but possible. But can we create great hardware IPs? Absolutely, we can. Absolutely. I'm telling you, if I can get 8 top of the line interns from top of the line educational institutes in the country, I can build, and which I'm doing already, awesome EDA software and world class cheap IPs. And universities should also look into their curriculum. Still today, electronics engineering, electronics and telecommunication, electrical engineering, and computer science students do not learn about modern ways of building chips. They still learn something that has become obsolete even before I was born. They're still learning that today. That technologies from 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s maybe. That's what they're learning to do. Why? They really need to look into their curriculum. They should modernize them. They should introduce those kind of concepts which I have explained so far. And I think it's entirely possible. I really hope that they will wake up, they will start doing that. So that's my vision, Dr. Ghosh.
I would open the floor for questions for public to raise. I have still 2, 3 more questions to go, but people can raise their questions
Yeah, let's see.
because
Yeah.
not every day we will get a hardware expert like you. I mean, how is this relevant to hardware? Exploring international clients. I mean, well, sir, can you
Can
help?
I address that? Can I address that question, Dr. Ghosh?
Sure, sure.
Mr. Bhatt, see, your question is international clients. Immediately, you are thinking about international clients, and that means you have got the service-oriented mindset, right? I understand that's important for generating revenues, but can you think about international clients, customers for your products, that not just enhancing the client software, but developing a software, developing a capability, software or hardware or hybrid, that can add values to the client's life, that can solve some problem. What did I say? Fixing, bridging gaps, fixing problem, fixing solutions, elevating solutions, and creating something new. These are the 4 ways. Can you do something in one of those 4 areas, or maybe a combination of that, that can truly add values to international clients? And if you want to know more, you can always contact me, ray@adyaksharlabs.com. I have helped quite a few entrepreneurs and companies with proper in-depth tech biz advice. I'll be happy to do that. So, next question. Anyone else? In finding genuine database of buyer. Dr. Ghosh, would you like to address that? I cannot hear you.
The data, how is data is related to hardware and software? I don't think. I think we may avoid that question furthermore. I have one question on hardware. Do we? No, there's another question on tech. Now, my question is, do we get support
Address
from
of
other?
Windows 95. People are still using Windows 95. Wow.
So here, listen to my question. Do we get support from other countries in building hardware? Like I have heard something about outsourced semiconductor assembly and testing. What is that?
Okay, that's actually a very important thing. It's basically creating an ecosystem, right? So, okay, let me give a very simple example. So, assembly testing, you build one chip and then you put together like different components to make a complete product, right? It's one thing to build an innovation, like for example, say this mobile phone. What is there inside? There's a chip. It may be Qualcomm chip, Snapdragon, or it may be any other chip, like it's a Samsung phone. But it also needs a few other components. See, OSAT, so assembly and testing. That means you are putting different pieces together just to build a complete product. Some component can be the chip. There are other components like speaker, the camera, any kind of power detector, any kind of computational device. So instead of just getting into the actual core chip design, which needs strong expertise, I mean, uh, some folks are saying that India might get into that OSAT ecosystem and can do better. Yeah, I mean, this needed, definitely needed, but I personally feel developing fundamental expertise, core expertise in chip design in India That is going to be the game-changing proposition for days to come.
Very good learning point from you, sir. Core chip design should be the first priority. Now,
I think so. I think so.
coming back to the question of Windows 95, we can that brings me back to my point. 90% MSMEs are averse to software and hardware adoption. Only 10% I have observed. Why this mental block?
That's a good question.
Money or lack of applicability or what?
I think fundamentally it's basically the mindset and culture. Okay. So, see, the first, I mean, what is the meaning of entrepreneurship? First of all, many people have a misconception. Entrepreneurship means making a company, building product and selling and making money. In my humble opinion, the concept of entrepreneurship is that using the knowledge or this technical, scientific combination of that, or any other marketing knowledge or economic knowledge, financial, any kind of combination of different knowledges, how you can put together a solution, a product, or a combination of product or solution to solve some problems. I told you at the beginning, right? The problem big enough, deep enough, old enough. You pick up a problem. Can you create a sustainable solution that will not only add values to people, will fix problems, will improve the situation, will bridge the gap, and will make a positive financial impact? So first thing is that, can you think out of the box? Can you come up with some solution? Do you have the time, energy, passion, motivation, and the zeal? Yes, I will do that. Yes, I will make that happen. Do we have that? If someone has that, and then someone starts the journey, that is called entrepreneurship. I think many entrepreneurs, so-called entrepreneurs in India, miss that point actually. Windows 95, for example. Why would someone stick to Windows 95 even in 2026? Because there have been various versions of Windows after that, and many of them are free. And even like in universities and colleges and all, they are using like stupid versions of like Windows, like say the latest version of Windows, even so Windows 8.1, say, if not 10 and all. I mean, Windows 95, I absolutely cannot believe that someone will be using that. That itself is shocking to me. So that will be my answer. Sir, I have a question about considering the recent AI summit in Delhi. How effectively are our current policies aligning semiconductor manufacturing with the needs of emerging AI hardware? Okay, can I take that question? Dr. Ghosh, I'm taking that question.
Please do.
Okay, so now government policy. So some of the policies that we know, some we do not really know. It's hard for me to comment on government policies, right? So I will only get to know, or all of us, that's true for all of us, we will know that policy only when they're publicly distributed or announced. But if you want to do AI powered hardware, so let's start with that. Are you trying to build AI powered hardware? If you are, so why do we have to depend on the government policy? Can you help me understand that? Suppose, for example, you want to build a CNN-based hardware, or you want to build a deep learning accelerator, or you want to build a neural processing unit. A simple, you want to build a TVM compiler for a certain specific application and all. So why don't you start doing that? Why do you have to depend on the policy? You can actually check the market very thoroughly. You can find out what are the gaps, what kind of chip do you need, which is AI powered, and why do you need an AI powered chip? Maybe you need that just to accelerate something which is not super fast in AI software. Then you want to put it on a hardware. You can start with FPGAs. You don't have to go for immediately fab. So when the fab is built and all fine, we'll see that. But do you actually have the idea? Do you have the skill or the background to start developing an AI powered hardware architecture? Do you? Can I get that answer? Then I can actually go to the next level. The gentleman or the individual who asked that question, I'm asking that person. Hello? Oh, okay. So yeah, so please focus on those. Focus on those aspects. Start, and if you need more, if you need longer discussion, as I mentioned, you can connect with me.
Give
Let
your
me
email
write
ID.
my.
Give your email ID.
I just wrote
Or
it
they
here.
can write to us, and we will connect them to you.
I just typed it here. Will that be fine?
Yeah. Ray at Adyakshar
And this is my WhatsApp number. I'm giving my WhatsApp. It's very easy to connect. And I hope you, the gentleman or the lady, I'm not getting any answer from you. You can find me on LinkedIn also. There are so many different ways to get me.
There are some more questions. We can show them. We have 5 minutes. We can have 5 minutes more.
No problem. Yeah, let's wait. Now, it's exciting to get questions. Then I will understand that people really paid attention, right? People actually love that. That will motivate me. That will inspire me to come to you again and to talk about different topics like that. So, until and unless we have assured who will be the buyer, how can we move? Okay, that's a very good question. So, 1 minute. Okay, so what's your product, first of all? Your product can be of different types. Is it something to do with seeds? It can be fertilizer, it can be pesticides, it can be a process, it can be a marketplace, it can be like plant-based products, maybe something like say any kind of millet-based food products. And so I need to know what is your product. Then I can answer how you will find out who your client is. So could you please tell me, sir, what's your product or what are your products, please? Anybody? I'm here. Which products are you talking about? Okay, let me answer. If you want to sell your products, like say agricultural products, agrotech has a place, and we are our in fact, Dr. Ghosh, this also very, you might find it very interesting because you are an economist. We are trying to cut down the layer of middlemen. Okay, okay. We have heard of e-mandi and these and that farmer producers organization, but did they really help bridging the gap between the producer and the consumer? What do you think, Dr. Ghosh? Do you believe those efforts or those initiatives actually have made difference by cutting down the middle layers? No, I don't. If you ask me, no, I don't think so. Maybe even if it has, minuscule. I still get news in the media that people are letting tomatoes rot in the field because they do not know how to reach out to the client. Raise and fox nuts. Okay, thank you. So we are actually creating a platform in agrotech where the connectivity is ensured with a certain motto, soil to foil. That means any fruit, any vegetable that grow, that I mean, fruits and they grow in the soil and they go to the foil of a guy. So there is no middle layer. So what is the way to know your clients? Do some internet research. Check the condition. You said maize. Okay, maize can be used in many different domains. Number one, directly maize-based, corn-based products. Then high fructose corn syrup that is used in a lot of processed foods. Then corn can be used for like any kind of cattle feed, dried corn. Then corn can be used as like the source of ethylene for gasolines and petroleums and all. So you have to find out which segment of which segment of clients you are looking for. So I need to understand your go-to-market strategies. Then I can help you create the following things: client acquisition method, client retention policies, go-to-market strategies, your revenue channel, your TAM, SAM, and SOM analysis, total addressable market, serviceable available market, serviceable obtainable market accounts, the market analysis, and then the revenue projection with smart milestones, smart goals, like how much you can expect in say 4 quarters, 8 quarters, 12 quarters, like that. If you have all these things, that's great. But if you need any help, myself and someone who we do that all the time, because I have been in the actech domain. So I would love to support, would love to help you, sir. So contact me at your earliest. I mean, this forum is a good place, but it takes like a little longer just to discuss all these things, right? Anybody, anyone else? I know that hundreds and maybe thousands of people are watching. Just 5 or 6 questions so far. Sure, absolutely. I love that.
Unmute me, please. Sir, I think we have to end our discussion for the day, and we have to continue on other platforms. First is we will have one or two success stories of yours in our
I will do that. I'll do that.
channel for startups, startuprenia. That is one thing, and another is we have an upcoming World Technology Conference on May 8 and 9 in Mumbai. And if you are by chance in India, I would request you to really attend that. And maybe that is one area where you can have more to bring to the table.
Sure. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm honored. It will be great if I can attend.
So, sir, I would end for the day. And
oh, I see. If you have any other question, you can ask me. I'm enjoying that. If you have more questions, I can. I can answer.
If you get more questions, this is not a question for sir. This is question for me. You asked how to become member of ICC. That you write to go to ICC website. Okay. There is a website.
We can have a second part of this episode if that's possible. I'd love to talk to people again. No? So
yeah. That is a good idea. I mean, one episode is not enough to cover you. That is the truth.
So is it the end of the session, sir, Dr. Ghosh?
Yeah.
The end of the session? So one last comment. People who are aspiring to make careers or like make companies in the hardware sector, let me tell you, there are different segments of the hardware domain, hardware industry. It's chip level, chip level, board level, system level, and also like an IoT, Internet of Things. IoT is an area that might be a little easier for you to penetrate. IoT is basically machine-to-machine talk. Okay, if you know about chip design, that's great. But even if you do not know, you can still make a career in IoT, or you can build companies in IoT. And remember, software always plays a major role in hardware. How? I'll just touch upon that, and we'll continue that in the second session. For building chips, you need a tremendous amount of extremely complex software. That's one thing. You need software just to create actual design methodology flows, and those are also very big software things. And then these days, you can implement your AI, ML algorithms, neural networks algorithms on silicon, on chips. So yes, software and hardware, they are together. Fortunately, like I have got the background. There's a combination of software and hardware for more than 25 years. So I can look at the situation from both sides, as a user, as a developer, both for software and hardware. So I believe that God has given me that privilege, and I'm so blessed that I can do that. And thank you so much for attending this talk.
That is a great suggestion. Somebody has put wants a blog from you to put on our site. Fine, that's a great suggestion. I'm very happy about it. That's one. And one last question. I know about quantum computing and binary system difference between them. Is there any difference in hardware between these two systems? And with
yes, there are quite a few differences. So I think that will be a good lead for the second session, like a web series. You end an episode in such a people, hey, you know what? Next one. So quantum computing is both software and hardware. Like traditional hardware and software. The quantum, the difference is that here is 0 and 1. There is extremely speedy because it's a superimposition, right? The superposition of 0 and 1. So here you use the bits like 0, 1. Here you use qubits, right? And why qubits are quite different from bits? It needs a little longer discussion. The concept of superposition, entanglement. I would love to get into those things. We have launched a new venture. I mentioned Quantum Labs. Dr. Ghosh, Quantum Labs actually works on quantum hardware, quantum AI, and also other aspects like, say, for example, quantum resilience, quantum security, quantum tokenizations, and all. So if I start talking about that, I might need next 20-25 minutes. What should I do? But yes, in a nutshell, these are basic differences of quantum-based software and hardware and quantum and traditional hardware.
So to conclude, Bihar government, or what to call
That's great.
Bihar
That's
government.
very promising. Is
So,
West Bengal
so
government focusing on any such thing? Is our own government is focusing on any such thing? I'd love to learn that. If anyone knows that, please do let me know.
I know they are focusing, and I will share that with you later. But to continue this, we will have a blog. We will have articles in a startuppreneur, and we will have a second episode of this.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone. Thanks for being with me. I really enjoyed talking to all of you. Jai Hind and Vande Mataram. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You are most welcome.